Avery Cole, long overshadowed by his boastful stepbrothers, unexpectedly inherits his late father's old, seemingly worthless car. Mocked by family and strangers, he quietly takes it home. As he and a team of experts restore the vehicle, Avery discovers it's a rare prototype, revealing his father's hidden foresight and lessons about patience, value, and resilience. What happens next will unlock a journey of surprises, proving that what the world overlooks can sometimes hold the greatest treasures. But before we dive into what happens next, I'd love to know, where are you tuning in from today? Drop your country in the comment below and please like the video. Thank you. Now let's continue. The room smelled faintly of polished wood and old leather, a scent that seemed to make the minutes stretch. Sunlight filtered through tall windows, painting gold lines across the floor. Avery Cole stood near the back, hands folded tightly. At 28, he had long learned to stay quiet when his stepfamily spoke loudly, and today was no exception. At the front, the lawyer cleared his throat, adjusting glasses that perched precariously on the bridge of his nose. I will now read the last wishes of Mr. Jonathan Cole. His stepbrothers, Darren and Nolan, leaned against the mahogany table, smirking as if they already owned the world. The lawyer's voice droned over estates, properties, companies, and accounts. Each mention drew grins from Darren and Nolan and small, approving nods from their advisors. Avery listened, heart pounding, imagining the numbers flashing like fireworks. Then the lawyer paused. For Avery Cole, he said slowly. An automobile. The words hung in the air. Car. Avery blinked. The lawyer repeated himself, as if afraid the room had misheard. Avery's stomach tightened. He turned to look at the vehicle, though he hadn't seen it yet. Darren snorted. Nolan laughed too loudly. A bucket of bolts, Nolan said, loud enough for someone in the hallway to overhear. Your dad really lost it. Avery's jaw clenched. He didn't speak. He simply nodded and rose, his hands gripping each other so hard his knuckles whitened. Outside, the wind whispered past the building as if sharing the city's amusement. The old car waited on the curb. Its gray paint was faded to the point of almost blending with the concrete. The side mirror cracked like a hesitant smile. Avery ran a thumb over the hood. Dust rose in little clouds, carrying the faint scent of gasoline and old leather. The tow truck driver squinted. You sure about this? Avery nodded. Yes, it's mine. On the street, teenagers laughed and filmed him. Yo, check that thing out. Looks like it should be in a scrapyard, one said. A woman carrying groceries shook her head. Poor kid, she muttered. Avery kept his face neutral. He checked the straps on the tow truck twice, guided the car into the narrow alley behind his apartment, and finally eased it into place. Mrs. Henry, his elderly neighbor, peeked from her balcony. Your father leave you that? She asked, her voice soft with curiosity. Avery nodded. Yeah. Treat it gently, she said. Grief makes hands clumsy. Night fell early. Avery wiped the windshield, sat in the driver's seat, and turned the key. The engine coughed, sputtered, then died. He exhaled slowly, feeling a familiar sting behind his eyes. He missed his father, even in his silence. Across the alley, a boy on a scooter stopped and stared. That yours? Avery nodded. Yes. Looks haunted, the boy said. Maybe it is, Avery replied, almost smiling. The next morning, Avery eased the car inch by inch toward the garage he had been saving rent for. The alley smelled of damp concrete and last night's fry oil. The tow truck driver muttered, She's tired. Avery smiled faintly. So am I. Inside the garage, the air smelled of coffee, oil, and warm metal. A tall woman in a denim shirt approached, wiping her hands on a rag. Her badge read Nina. What are we looking at? She asked. My father's car, Avery said simply. Barely runs. Nina leaned into the engine, inhaling as though scent could reveal the truth. Not junk, she said, but not simple either. She waved over a man named Victor, who crouched under the car, flashlight in hand, inspecting the chassis stamp and small plates near the firewall. This is rare," he murmured. He didn't explain. Avery noticed the quiet awe. They circled the car, tracing dents and scratches, noting lines under old paint. Small movements, shared glances, whispered measurements. A junior technician approached with a cart of tools. "Pull the plugs," Nina instructed. They worked without fanfare, as if each bolt, each smear of grease told a story. Dust fanned the air when they pulled the rear seat. From between the springs slid an envelope, Avery's name written in his father's blunt handwriting. He slipped it into his jacket without opening it. The truth would wait until he was ready. By noon, the team had removed layers of grime to reveal something deliberate. Victor compared measurements to old manuals, confirming the car's authenticity. "This is an early prototype," he said finally. "It shouldn't exist." Avery's cheeks warmed, not with triumph but relief. The car, the vehicle of mockery, held a story his father had protected, a secret he had preserved. Over the next week, experts arrived quietly, whispering around the car like surgeons at a patient's bedside. Paint layers were measured, photographs taken, metal stamped and checked. Avery worked alongside them, holding lamps, fetching trays, wiping dust from sleeves. Finally, a museum curator arrived. "This is it," he said simply after a slow walk around. A 1967 DE prototype, lost for decades. Avery nodded, understanding the significance before it was fully explained. Within days, news outlets called it the ghost find. But Avery ignored the journalists, focused instead on finishing the restoration. Late at night, Avery finally opened his father's letter. "To my son Avery," it read. "This car carried me through debt, doubt and humiliation. People saw rust. I saw survival. You've learned this yourself. Don't sell it too fast. Let it breathe. Let it teach. And when others forget what matters, remind them with patience, not pride." The words broke halfway, handwriting faltering, but Avery folded the page carefully. His father had left him more than a car. He had left a lesson. The restored car was displayed in the museum, polished silver beneath perfect lighting. The museum offered a deal: permanent display under Avery's name, royalties sufficient for a comfortable life. Avery accepted, insisting his father's name be included on the plaque. Journalists and enthusiasts crowded around, cameras flashing. Yet Avery remained calm, running his finger along the car's hood, remembering the long, quiet hours in the garage, the smell of oil and coffee, the patience required to see value where others only saw junk. With his new resources, Avery purchased a small house and started a workshop in his father's old neighborhood. He spent afternoons teaching local children to rebuild bikes and engines. The workshop smelled of steel, oil, and new beginnings. Months later, his stepbrothers, Darren and Nolan, appeared in a black sedan. No laughter, no smirks. Only desperation. "We need help," Darren admitted. Avery listened, calmly poured 3 mugs of coffee, and offered them work in the workshop. At first, they moved stiffly, unused to honest labor. Gradually they learned patience, care, and respect. Darren laughed easily while working on bikes. Nolan balanced accounts, finally understanding the real cost of numbers. Word spread. The coal workshop had become a community hub. Parents visited, kids brought broken bikes. Neighbors who once whispered now nodded in respect. The museum invited Avery to an anniversary event. The brothers attended, dressed simply. The car gleamed under the lights, a plaque honoring both father and son. "They'd like this," Nolan whispered, touching the plaque. "They'd like that. We finally got it," Avery replied. They stood silently, absorbing the lesson of value, patience, and humility. Months passed. The workshop thrived. Children learned to respect machines, numbers, and effort. Avery moved between bays with steady hands, sleeves rolled, calm as ever. The city air smelled of asphalt, fuel, and rain. Across the street, passers-by whispered, "That's the guy from the inheritance story." Avery didn't respond. He smiled faintly, knowing the truth didn't need defending. The museum later added a new plaque highlighting the restoration program, showing kids, Avery, and even his brothers working side by side. The car remained the centerpiece, now a symbol not of wealth, but of wisdom, perseverance, and the quiet power of seeing what others cannot. One rainy evening, Avery stood outside, rain tapping against the museum windows like applause. His reflection merged with the display, and for a moment, he imagined his father's voice whispering, "Now you understand." "Yes," Avery replied softly. "I do." He zipped his jacket and walked into the city night, hands in his pockets, ready for the next lesson life had to offer. Behind him, the car remained, a relic that had carried a family from arrogance and mockery to grace, humility, and legacy. Sometimes what seems worthless is the most valuable treasure of all. If this story touched your heart, sparked a thought, or reminded you that patience and humility always pay off, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. At Echoes of Life Stories, we bring you real, powerful tales that inspire, surprise, and stay with you long after the video ends. Join our community and never miss a story that could change the way you see the world. Subscribe now. It means more than you know.